How can a group from a small Asian industry bring the biggest award-winning stages in the United States to their knees and completely overhaul the global music scene? Is this just a passing fad, or a genuine cultural annexation that Hollywood's industry moguls can't deny? Number 10. The voice of support, Taylor Swift. The American music industry watched in awe during the 2021 American Music Awards when Taylor Swift, one of the most decorated artists in global music history, publicly broke the internet by interacting with and celebrating BTS. This moment was not a casual celebrity greeting, it was a profound acknowledgement from an artist who understands the grueling mechanics of global pop stardom, the intense pressure of constant media scrutiny, and the absolute necessity of maintaining a deeply loyal, global fan base. Swift's public embrace of BTS at this major event served as a definitive stamp of validation, signaling to the Western establishment that the South Korean group was no longer an outside phenomenon looking in, but an apex force commanding the exact same room. Swift has historically been highly selective about her public alliances and industry endorsements, making her visible enthusiasm for BTS a highly calculated nod of respect toward their songwriting, their performance ethics, and their unmatched cultural impact. Beyond the flashing cameras of the awards ceremony, Swift's acknowledgement carried an immense structural weight, effectively forcing Western media outlets to dismantle their reductionist boy band narratives and look at BTS as legitimate peers to the biggest names in American music. The interaction instantly became a focal point for global pop culture discussions, illustrating how boundaries of language and geography dissolve entirely when artists operating at the absolute pinnacle of their respective fields meet on equal ground. As the night progressed, this public display of mutual respect set a monumental tone for the evening, proving that the highest echelons of Western music were actively pulling down the gatekeeping walls to welcome a new global order. But while this historic meeting between two titans established a massive foundation of respect, it was only the opening salvo of a much larger, coordinated shift in Hollywood's power dynamics as even more influential figures stepped forward to shatter the industry's traditional expectations. Number 9. The Authentic Alliance, Halsey. When evaluating the structural shifts within the American music industry, no Western endorsement carries a deeper, more factual weight of mutual respect than that of American alternative pop singer-songwriter Halsey. The history between these two global entities began not as a superficial marketing scheme orchestrated by corporate executives, but as a genuine, artist-driven connection forged backstage at the 2017 Billboard Music Awards. Halsey, an artist fiercely protective of her own creative independence and raw lyricism, openly bypassed the standard industry gatekeeping by actively seeking out the South Korean septet, acknowledging their complex conceptual storylines and intricate visual artwork as major creative inspirations for her own chart-topping discography. This organic foundation culminated in one of the most statistically explosive and culturally significant collaborations in modern music history with the 2019 global hit track Boy With Love, a song that dismantled international chart barriers and led to a monumental joint live performance at the 2019 Billboard Music Awards. To appreciate the profound emotional weight and authenticity of this alliance, one must look at the factual actions that occurred behind the scenes. Prior to their historic live television debut, Halsey gifted all 7 members of BTS customized, high-end diamond friendship bracelets, a symbolic gesture that completely subverted the transactional nature of typical Hollywood industry partnerships. While Western skeptics and traditional media platforms tried to downplay the longevity of international K-pop acts, Halsey consistently utilized her massive media platform to defend the group's artistry, calling out systemic xenophobia in the industry and asserting that music transcends any artificial barriers of language. This creative synergy deepened even further when Halsey flew across the world to South Korea to participate directly in their highly demanding music video production, matching their notoriously precise choreography out of sheer professional respect for their performance standards. The factual permanence of this artistic kinship was permanently cemented when she collaborated individually with member Suga for the critically acclaimed track Suga's Interlude on her diamond-certified album Manic, openly calling him her creative twin due to their shared vulnerabilities in addressing the dark, psychological pressures of global fame. By standing shoulder to shoulder with BTS during their foundational transition into the highest echelons of Western award circuits, Halsey didn't just provide a passing celebrity endorsement, she structurally validated their presence as permanent, irreplaceable architects of the global pop landscape. The industry was forced to watch as this unshakable bond proved that the new global order of music was built on genuine artistic brotherhood rather than corporate design, a reality that became even more undeniable as the next massive titan of American hip-hop stepped forward to upend the prying eyes of the global press. Number 8. The unstoppable cosign, Megan Thee Stallion. The intersection of global hip-hop royalty and international pop dominance reached a massive, verified peak when Houston rap icon Megan Thee Stallion defied her own management team to stand fiercely alongside BTS. The structural timeline of this alliance began in 2021, when Megan fought a highly publicized legal battle against her record label, 1501 Certified Entertainment, filing emergency court documents in Texas just to secure the legal right to release her explosive remix of BTS's Billboard Hot 100 #1 single, Butter. This was not a passive corporate agreement. Megan actively leveraged her own legal assets and professional capital out of deep personal respect for the group's independent artistic trajectory, proving that she viewed them as true creative powerhouses rather than a temporary trend. The immense industry friction surrounding this track only heightened the emotional weight when the song was finally cleared by a judge, instantly solidifying an ironclad bond between the artists that transcended international corporate politics. Although a sudden personal matter prevented her from joining them on stage at the 2021 American Music Awards, where BTS made history by winning Artist of the Year for the very first time, the factual strength of their alliance was only delayed, not diminished. The global music community watched as Megan later joined BTS live on stage during their sold-out, multi-night stadium residency permission to dance on stage at SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles, delivering a raw, unscripted joint performance that drove mainstream Western media into an absolute frenzy. Behind the scenes, the cultural exchange was deeply personal and thoroughly documented, featuring viral interactions where Megan taught the septet her iconic choreography and signature poses, matching their legendary work ethic with her own fierce performance standards. Megan's public support was an intentional statement to the traditional hip-hop and mainstream Western music establishment, demonstrating that BTS possessed an undeniable cultural rhythm and artistic authenticity that could not be marginalized by industry gatekeepers. This alliance shattered the standard Hollywood mold by showing that real solidarity is forged through shared creative battles, establishing a powerful precedent that resonated deeply across the industry. As this monumental crossover proved that BTS could command the respect of hip-hop's fiercest architects, it set the stage for an even older, legendary institution of rock and alternative music to step forward and permanently rewrite the rules of international collaborations. Number 7. The Cosmic Brotherhood, Chris Martin. When tracking the tectonic shifts of Western validation for BTS, no artistic relationship carries the immense, verifiable industry weight as the deep bond forged with Chris Martin, the frontman of the legendary British-American rock band Coldplay. The narrative of this historic alliance crystallized in 2021 when Coldplay collaborated with BTS on the massive, record-breaking global anthem My Universe, which debuted at number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100, marking the first time in history that two co-billed lead groups topped the chart. This was not a superficial corporate arrangement negotiated through remote legal teams. Martin actively flew to Seoul, South Korea, during the height of strict global travel restrictions, entering the studio personally to record alongside all 7 members because he refused to produce the track without their physical creative energy in the room. The absolute depth of Martin's professional respect became undeniably concrete when he went on national television, including The Kelly Clarkson Show, openly practicing and singing the Korean lyrics written by BTS, completely subverting the typical Anglo-centric expectations of the Western music industry. This profound artistic synergy culminated in an unforgettable, explosive live performance at the 2021 American Music Awards, where both iconic bands shared a physical stage for the first time, sending shockwaves through the Hollywood establishment and setting the stage for BTS to sweep major trophies that night. Martin's commitment to this brotherhood extended far beyond a single award cycle or promotional campaign, as evidenced when he personally gifted his favorite acoustic guitar, an instrument he had played for over a decade, to member Jimin, a gesture of profound symbolic reverence within rock history. The permanence of this cross-generational alliance was further validated when Martin co-wrote Jin's debut solo single The Astronaut in 2022, and later welcomed him as a surprise guest on stage during Coldplay's massive stadium tour legs in Buenos Aires and Gyeonggi, proving that their connection was a permanent bridge built on genuine artistic admiration. By continuously championing BTS's core message of unity and love on the world's biggest platforms, Chris Martin didn't just offer a passing celebrity endorsement, he utilized Coldplay's legendary institution to dismantle the cultural gatekeeping of the Western elite, proving that true artistry speaks a universal language. As this massive alternative rock powerhouse permanently aligned its legacy with the septet, the structural walls of the mainstream pop landscape continued to fracture, paving the way for one of modern pop's most successful producers and hitmakers to step forward and further solidify their chart dominance. Number 6. The chart hitmaker, Benny Blanco. When tracing the exact structural breakdown of how Hollywood's elite producers shifted from cautious onlookers to active collaborators with BTS, the factual timeline leads directly to American mega-producer Benny Blanco. Blanco, the mastermind behind hundreds of millions of global record sales and chart-topping anthems for artists like Rihanna, Ed Sheeran, and Katy Perry, did not enter the BTS universe through a standard corporate assignment. The professional alliance crystallized in 2022 when Blanco, a self-documented admirer of the group's distinct vocal execution, collaborated with BTS's vocal line Jimin, V, and Jung Kook alongside hip-hop legend Snoop Dogg for the massive summer anthem Bad Decisions. This project was marked by a deeply tactical and unprecedented marketing campaign where Blanco openly utilized his massive Western media footprint to celebrate the septet's artistry, even directing a comedic music video where he cast himself as a dedicated fan preparing for a BTS stadium concert. The factual impact of this specific alliance was cemented on the charts when Bad Decisions officially debuted at number 10 on the Billboard Hot 100, generating over 10.1 million streams and 66,000 physical and digital sales in its opening week alone. This milestone carried a massive structural weight for the music industry, officially making BTS the first South Korean artist in global history to secure 10 top 10 entries on the Billboard Hot 100 chart. Behind the scenes, the artistic validation was verified through real-world actions, as Blanco consistently used his industry standing to push back against Western radio gatekeeping, ensuring the track received aggressive airplay across major top 40 mainstream stations. By integrating the unique harmonies of the BTS vocal line into a mainstream Western pop format alongside a rap icon, Blanco proved to the Hollywood establishment that the group's vocal identity possessed a universal commercial viability that could effortlessly anchor major American music releases. This alliance effectively shattered any remaining narratives that BTS required Western styling to thrive, demonstrating instead that the world's most successful hitmakers were actively modifying their own production blueprints to align with the septet's global momentum. As this chart-topping producer permanently fused his hit-making legacy with the group's historic trajectory, the cross-industry domino effect continued to accelerate, moving from the recording studio directly onto the fashion world's most exclusive and heavily guarded global stages. Number 5. The Master of Vision, Pharrell Williams. The structural narrative of Western music validation reached an entirely new echelon of creative authority when American visionary producer, singer-songwriter, and Louis Vuitton men's creative director Pharrell Williams chose to align his massive cultural legacy with BTS. Pharrell, an untouchable icon who has spent decades redefining the sonic blueprint of global hip-hop, pop, and R&B for legendary artists like Daft Punk, Justin Timberlake, and Snoop Dogg, bypassed the usual corporate legal channels to build an exclusive, artist-to-artist connection. The magnitude of this professional alliance became undeniably public in November 2022, when Rolling Stone magazine released an explosive joint cover feature and extensive video interview pairing Pharrell directly with BTS's leader, RM. This was not a superficial, highly manicured media campaign orchestrated by remote public relations agencies. It was an intense, deeply philosophical creative meeting of minds where Pharrell openly treated RM as an intellectual and artistic peer on the global stage. During this verified historic conversation, Pharrell broke strict industry protocol by prematurely announcing that BTS had officially recorded a highly confidential, sonically massive track for his own upcoming studio album project, Friends, openly stating that the group's vocal execution was absolutely amazing and expressing deep professional gratitude for their involvement. The emotional weight of this alliance deepened exponentially as Pharrell, recognizing the intense psychological pressures and creative exhaustion of navigating global superstardom, utilized his position as an experienced industry elder to offer profound guidance to RM regarding artistic longevity and identity. Furthermore, upon hearing that RM was finalizing his highly anticipated debut solo album, Indigo, Pharrell immediately subverted the traditional financial gatekeeping of high-profile Western producers by publicly offering to produce an uptempo track for the project on the spot, demonstrating an urgent desire to collaborate based on pure creative respect rather than commercial transaction. This public co-sign from one of the most selective and respected gatekeepers of American music culture sent shockwaves through the Hollywood establishment, completely dismantling the archaic Western bias that treated international artists as mere commercial commodities rather than elite creative visionaries. By continuously leveraging his massive multi-industry platform to champion the absolute authenticity of BTS's independent songwriting and production capabilities, Pharrell Williams did not merely provide a passing celebrity endorsement, he fundamentally validated their position at the very top of global music royalty. This masterclass in mutual artistic reverence permanently altered the power dynamics of cross-cultural collaborations, ensuring that the traditional gatekeepers of the American market had no choice but to adjust their own structural blueprints to accommodate this unstoppable global force. As this legendary sonic architect permanently fused his historical legacy with the septet's trajectory, the ripple effects across the Western industry continued to expand, moving rapidly toward the undisputed monarchs of American hip-hop who were preparing to completely redefine chart dominance alongside them. Number 4. The historical breakthrough, Lil Nas X. The institutional walls of the traditional recording academy suffered their first visible fracture when American boundary-breaking artist Lil Nas X chose to share the sacred stage of the 62nd annual Grammy Awards in 2020 with BTS. To fully grasp the immense historical magnitude and factual weight of this alliance, one must understand the rigid gatekeeping that has defined the Grammys for over half a century, an institution that had historically relegated international and non-English speaking artists to non-televised categories or mere presentation slots. In 2019, BTS had broken the initial barrier by appearing purely as award presenters, but it was Lil Nas X, an artist who single-handedly re-engineered the mechanics of modern chart dominance through his record-breaking diamond-certified hit Old Town Road, who actively used his immense cultural leverage to demand that the South Korean septet be given a physical performance slot. This was not a standard corporate packaged crossover, but the direct culmination of an organic, cross-continental creative relationship that had sparked when BTS leader RM collaborated on the official remix titled Seoul Town Road, bringing a distinct South Korean rhythmic identity to the most statistically dominant American song of the era. When the televised broadcast went live from the Staples Center in Los Angeles, the global music industry watched in absolute fascination as Lil Nas X executed a seamless, rotating multi-stage performance that purposefully positioned BTS at the literal center of the narrative. The factual timeline of that night records RM, J-Hope, Suga, Jung Kook, Jimin, Jin, and V commanding the stage with flawless vocal precision and effortless charisma alongside Lil Nas X, Billy Ray Cyrus, Diplo, and Mason Ramsey, marking the first time in global music history that a Korean group performed live at the Grammy Awards. Western critics and industry executives who had spent years trying to dismiss the group as a temporary internet phenomenon were forced to witness a live masterclass in showmanship, where BTS took a brief performance window and turned it into the most talked-about, high-visibility segment of the entire night. Behind the scenes, the professional respect between Lil Nas X and BTS was deeply documented, characterized by a shared understanding of what it means to be an industry outsider completely disrupting the established Hollywood hierarchy through sheer creative willpower and digital fan mobilization. By giving BTS a visible platform on the one stage that had stubbornly resisted their commercial numbers, Lil Nas X didn't just offer a passing celebrity nod, he intentionally forced the Grammys' governing body to visually acknowledge that the center of global pop gravity had permanently shifted away from traditional Western boardrooms. This historic performance set off an unstoppable domino effect within the Recording Academy's infrastructure, demonstrating to the entire entertainment elite that trying to isolate or marginalize the septet was not only culturally obsolete but commercially impossible. The sheer structural impact of this televised breakthrough resynchronized the global pop landscape, showing that when the industry's most radical innovators unite, the oldest institutions have no choice but to watch their walls crumble down in real time. As this legendary Grammys crossover permanently rewrote the rules of televised representation for international artists, it cleared a massive path for the undisputed icons of modern R&B and soul to step forward and further elevate the group's undeniable prestige on the world's most exclusive stages. Number 3. The Sonic Virtuoso, Anderson .Paak. The institutional crossover between elite American R&B instrumentation and the unstoppable global trajectory of BTS found its most rhythmically authentic validation through multiple Grammy-winning artist, producer, and Silk Sonic mastermind Anderson .Paak. The structural timeline of this specific alliance is rooted in deep professional admiration rather than standard Hollywood industry posturing, initially generating widespread public attention during the high-stakes environment of the 2021 American Music Awards and the 2022 Grammy Awards circuits, where Silk Sonic and BTS stood as the absolute centerpieces of the entire television broadcast. While traditional media platforms frequently attempted to position Western R&B purists and international pop forces as diametrically opposed entities, Paak explicitly dismantled this false narrative by publicly documenting his profound respect for the septet's intricate musical timing, flawless vocal execution, and rigorous live band dynamics. The emotional and factual peak of this cross-cultural artistic kinship permanently solidified on June 13, 2022, during BTS's monumental Proof Live Global Anniversary celebration, a highly publicized event broadcasted worldwide to mark a decade of the group's historic musical legacy. To the absolute astonishment of the global music establishment, the televised event opened with Anderson .Paak himself physically sitting behind the drum kit, wearing his signature bowl haircut and a cream-colored suit, actively providing the live, complex percussion foundations for the world premiere performance of BTS's deeply reflective hit single Yet to Come, The Most Beautiful Moment. This was not a superficial, remote digital collaboration or a casual social media cosign. It was a top-tier American musical architect actively utilizing his world-renowned instrumental precision to elevate the live presentation of a non-English track on a massive international scale. Behind the scenes, the foundation of this connection carried an immense personal weight, as Paak has openly verified that his own son is a dedicated, passionate member of the global BTS army, establishing a multi-generational household bond with the group's music that culminated in the entire family meeting the septet backstage during their sold-out, multi-night permission to dance on stage stadium residency at the SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles. This specific interaction went far beyond standard celebrity hospitality, as Paak and the members of BTS engaged in a highly technical exchange regarding production techniques, live instrumentation layouts, and the complex realities of maintaining absolute sonic integrity while executing stadium-level choreography. By stepping away from his own massive Silk Sonic promotional cycle, which had just completely swept the major categories at the 64th Annual Grammy Awards, including Record of the Year and Song of the Year, to serve as a live session drummer for BTS, Anderson .Paak sent an undeniable shockwave through the traditional gatekeepers of the American Recording Academy. This historical action demonstrated to the entire Hollywood elite that the most respected figureheads of modern American funk, soul, and R&B did not view BTS as a temporary pop phenomenon to be ignored, but rather as supreme creative peers whose deep musicality demanded direct, hands-on artistic collaboration. The absolute precision of their joint performance permanently recalibrated how Western music critics analyzed the group's sonic versatility, proving that their cultural rhythm could seamlessly integrate with the absolute highest standards of live American musicianship. As this legendary instrumental powerhouse permanently aligned his critical acclaim and verified musical pedigree with the septet's historic trajectory, the cross-industry momentum became completely unstoppable, clearing a massive path for the next towering icon of the global pop landscape to step forward and further dismantle the traditional boundaries of international stardom. Number 2. The Global Blueprint, Justin Bieber. The structural changing of the guard within the international pop landscape was permanently codified through the multi-layered relationship and mutual industry validation between BTS and Canadian pop icon Justin Bieber. For over half a decade, Bieber had held an absolute, seemingly unbreakable monopoly on the Billboard Top Social Artist category, a critical industry metric reflecting pure global fan mobilization and digital dominance that traditional Western boardrooms used to measure a star's real-world market leverage. However, the factual timeline records a monumental shift at the 2017 Billboard Music Awards when BTS officially shattered Bieber's 6-year consecutive winning streak, securing the trophy and signaling to the Hollywood elite that an unprecedented global force had arrived to rewrite the industry's metrics. Instead of retreating into defensive industry posturing, Bieber subverted all expectations by openly validating the septet's historic breakthrough, establishing a professional narrative rooted in profound respect for their unparalleled work ethic and cross-continental chart execution. The absolute depth of this validation became undeniably concrete in September 2020, following the release of BTS's explosive, record-breaking English single Dynamite, which debuted at number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 chart. Bieber personally stepped forward onto a major mainstream Western media platform, delivering an exclusive, highly analytical voiceover commentary for E! News where he meticulously broke down exactly how BTS was successfully rewriting global music history. In this verified broadcast, Bieber did not merely offer passive celebrity pleasantries, he utilized his massive institutional knowledge as a seasoned global pop veteran to explain the complex statistical achievements of Dynamite, explicitly pointing out that the track's historic streaming numbers, massive radio airplay traction, and multi-week dominance on the charts were definitive proof that BTS possessed a permanent, universal commercial viability. Behind the scenes, this mutual respect deepened even further through public interactions where Bieber openly celebrated the solo releases of the members, most notably supporting Jung Kook, who has historically cited Bieber as a major sonic influence, creating a powerful cross-generational bridge between two of the most statistically dominant forces in modern pop history. The corporate alignment of their respective legacies reached a massive structural peak in 2021 when HYB, the parent company of BTS, officially acquired Ithaca Holdings, the media empire managing Bieber, effectively placing them under the same global corporate umbrella and turning former chart rivals into elite institutional partners. By continuously using his massive Western media footprint to analyze and champion the structural brilliance of BTS's chart-topping achievements, Justin Bieber did not merely provide a passing promotional nod, he intentionally forced mainstream Western radio programmers and traditional music critics to acknowledge that the center of global pop gravity had permanently shifted away from an Anglo-centric monopoly. This masterclass in professional reverence from one of the most commercially successful artists of the 21st century permanently dismantled any remaining industry narratives that treated international acts as fleeting internet trends, proving instead that the ultimate icons of the West were actively tracking and adjusting to the septet's unstoppable momentum. As this legendary pop titan permanently integrated his historical chart legacy with the group's historic trajectory, the cross-industry domino effect accelerated to its absolute peak, clearing the final path for the most anticipated, culturally massive entity to step forward and close this definitive list. Number 1. The Vanguard of Honor, John Cena. The complete structural rewriting of how the Western entertainment establishment views BTS reached its absolute pinnacle not through a conventional music industry executive, but through 16-time WWE World Champion and Hollywood powerhouse John Cena. To fully comprehend the immense factual weight and structural uniqueness of this alliance, one must strip away the typical corporate public relations strategies of the music industry. Cena's deep allegiance to the South Korean septet was forged entirely on the foundations of profound philosophical alignment and real-world personal rescue. The factual timeline began to crystallize publicly when Cena, an untouchable symbol of alpha masculinity in Western sports entertainment, began utilizing his massive digital footprint to unashamedly champion the group's lyricism and production value, specifically highlighting the technical execution of the group's rap line, RM, J-Hope, and Suga. This was not a superficial attempt to capture digital clout. In a series of deeply moving, verified national television appearances on major platforms like The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon and The Ellen DeGeneres Show, Cena openly admitted to the global audience that BTS's seminal 2018 album Love Yourself, Answer found him during a profoundly dark and vulnerable period of personal struggle regarding his own self-worth. The emotional weight of this connection became an undeniable historical marker when Cena explicitly credited the themes of vulnerability and self-acceptance advocated by BTS and fiercely protected by their global fandom, the ARMY, as the direct creative inspiration that gave him the courage to write and publish his two subsequent motivational books, Be a Work in Progress and Do Your Best Every Day. Behind the scenes, this unparalleled bond translated into real-world institutional solidarity, most notably documented in 2020 when BTS and their agency made a historic, politically significant $1 million donation to the Black Lives Matter movement, prompting Cena to immediately step forward and publicly match that exact figure with his own personal financial assets under the hashtag #ARMYMatch1M to amplify their global humanitarian message. Mainstream Western critics who had spent years attempting to dismiss the group's global appeal as a superficial, youth-driven trend were left completely speechless as a larger-than-life Hollywood titan repeatedly used his platform to frame BTS not merely as pop performers, but as elite cultural architects executing flawless live choreography while delivering a profound, universal message of mental health and self-love that transcended any artificial barriers of age, gender, or language. By continuously asserting his specific, unwavering admiration for J-Hope's artistic vision and publicly offering to act as the group's physical security vanguard out of sheer professional respect, John Cena did not simply hand down a passing celebrity endorsement, he fundamentally shattered the archaic Western stereotypes surrounding global pop forces, permanently cementing BTS's status at the absolute apex of international cultural royalty. This ultimate alliance stood as a definitive masterclass in mutual artistic reverence, forcing the entire global entertainment industry to look upon the monumental trajectory of the South Korean septet and finally realize that the old guard had fallen, the traditional boardrooms had lost their monopoly, and a new, unbreakable global order had officially taken the throne.